What's up, guys? This is Albert from VCA Church, coming to you with an honest discussion on the purpose of life. I remember a time in my life when I was working security at Desert Regional Medical Center. And I happened to work morning shift. I went to relieve the guys from graveyard shift at the gatehouse. A friend of mine named Sam was sitting there, and he had an orange Gideon Bible. At this time in my life, I wasn't a believer. I called myself a Christian, but had no idea what Christianity was. And when I approached him, we had a brief discussion, and he happened to mention to me, he asked me, "Do you believe in the existence of God?" I said, "Sure, but I doubt it." Then he asked me, "Do you believe in an afterlife?" I told him, "Yeah, but I believed in reincarnation. I believed that I would one day become a bird or an animal or a fish or some sort." Then he asked me these challenging questions, and at the time it was annoying to me because I didn't understand why he was asking me this. And he asked me, "What will you be in the next life?" I didn't know how to answer it. I said, "I don't know. That's not my department." He said, "Well, whose department is it?" I said, "Well, God's." He says, "On what basis do you believe that?" I didn't know how to answer him because there was no book that told me what I believed. I just believed it without any basis for it. And then he asked me the question that lingered with me throughout the day. "What do you think your purpose of life is? Why were you created?" No idea how to answer that. But it stuck with me, and he went off, and I picked up that Bible and I started to read it. And as time grew by, I realized, reading in the New Testament, I came across the passage that Paul wrote the letter to Colossae. It's in Colossians chapter 1, verse 15 through 17. It writes, "He," meaning Jesus, "is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For by him all things were created, both in the heavens and on the earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions, rulers or authorities. All things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together." Now that word firstborn in verse 15 happens to cause a lot of controversy. Some believe it actually means that Jesus was first created. But the fact is, the word used there in the Greek is prototokos, which actually means preeminence, one whose superiority. So it says Jesus is superiority. He holds superiority, preeminent over all creation. For you were created for him and through him. This changed my entire vision of life. It's like a veil came out from me. I started to realize that life wasn't purposeless. I had a meaning and value. This changed my life in terms of the way I looked at the homeless person begging me for food and the unborn baby in the womb. It changed my perspective on life in general. So if you're sitting there wondering to yourself am I just a cosmic accident? What is my purpose in life? I challenge you today and remind you today that you were created for Jesus Christ, to bring him honor, glory, and praise. You have a purpose. Maybe you're stuck in a position where you already know this truth, but you're wondering, you're beating yourself up because a job's not panning out for you or something's going wrong. I want to refocus your lens and embrace the purpose of your very existence, and that's for Christ, through Christ, and in him all things hold together. I want to remind you what Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 20, that you are not your own. You were bought at a price, so glorify God in your body. And be reminded of the words of Jesus in Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. "Seek first his righteousness and his kingdom, and all things will be given unto you." I pray for you this day that you would find purpose in embracing the very purpose of life that's in Christ Jesus. God bless you all. For full-length sermons and new content daily, please visit vcachurch.com.